Welcome. All right, so first of all, thank you all for joining this webinar, for subscribing and joining us today. I hope everybody is having a great start to this new season, whether it's fall for you or spring. It's the same. I hope everything is going great. Thank you again for joining us today. This session is going to be about one of the latest features, integrations that Lodgify launched. It was highly requested, and we are very, very happy to be able to show you how this integration works, the benefits of it, and how you can make the most of it, and together with your subscription to Lodgify. So let me share my screen. If you can see my screen for any reason, please let me know in the chat. I'll be reading your comments. Today, as I said, we will be talking about the integration between Lodgify and Google Vacation Rental. Before we start, I want to quickly introduce myself and the colleagues here with me. My name is Adriana. I am the product training specialist in the customer success team at Lodgify. Together with me, there's Alberto. He is the SEO and content manager at Lodgify, and we also have Daniel somewhere. He's a senior support agent in the customer success team at Lodgify as well. So let's go quickly over the topics that we will be covering today. At the end of the don't worry, because there will be some times dedicated to your questions. We will also be sending the recording and any follow-up answer by email in the upcoming days. So today we will be talking about the integration between Lodgify and Google Vacation Rental. But what is Google Vacation Rental? What are the benefits of using Google Vacation Rentals? Alberto will give us some insights from a different perspective. So SEO versus Google Vacation Rental and the applications of SEO in Google Vacation Rentals. And we will have also a quick look at the connection requirements, how to connect, so the actual steps that you have to follow in order to be able to start the integration, and the different connection statuses. Okay, so let's get started. What is Google Vacation Rentals? The definition of Google Vacation Rental is it is a meta search engine for vacation rentals. It works much like any other search engine. I'm sure everybody is familiar with Google. Google is a search engine. There's also other search engines like Bing, Yahoo. Clearly, Google is the most popular one. The only difference between Google Vacation Rental and a search engine like Google is that it basically looks through, whenever you make a search, a specific search in Google, it looks through other results aggregators, and it will present you with the list of most relevant results. I don't know if any of you has ever used or has ever looked for a flight online, right? There are some platforms that allow you or will show you the most relevant results by looking at the website of the different airlines. And then you choose the best option, the option that is more convenient to you, and then you finalize your flight booking on the specific airline website. It's pretty much the same concept with Google Vacation Rental, just applying it to vacation rentals. Good news is that this is completely free for both yourselves, so for all hosts that decide to feature their rentals on Google Vacation Rental, but also for the guests, so no additional fees to pay. Travelers can use it on desktop and mobile devices without limitation. And as I said, it is triggered by a specific search in Google, something like vacation rental in Ravello, for example, but it can be any city, any country, any state, anything. You just go to Google, you're looking for an accommodation because you are traveling to a different country, for example. You place your search in Google, and Google Vacation Rental will return you the list of most relevant results. Let's take a closer look at all these steps. So the traveler makes a search in Google for a vacation rental. As I said, something like vacation rental in Barcelona, vacation rental in Los Angeles. And then GVR, that stands for Google Vacation Rental, returns a list of most relevant results. So in this example, you can see that there was this search query in Google, vacation rentals in Ravello. These are some of the results returned by Google. We get a preview of the rentals, like a miniature picture with the average prices. If the guest looks for a specific date, you will guess the exact price applying to those dates that the guest is searching for. And then a preview of the capacity of the rental together with some of the amenities. After that, the traveler will click on the button View Details, and this button will take the traveler to the profile page of your rental, where they can see even more details about the accommodation, the description, the specific prices, the location, information about the business, and the entire gallery with all the photos that you have uploaded. At this point, the good thing is that to actually finalize the booking, the guest or the traveler that is looking at the profile page in Google Vacation Rental will have to click on the Visit Site button. This means that when we click on Visit Site, we are taken to our Lodgify website where the guest can actually complete their booking. So they will go to the booking flow as if they were placing the booking directly on the website. This clearly is different from the way the majority of the online travel agencies, the most known one are, for example, Airbnb, Booking.com. In that case, the guest will start the booking process and finalize the booking process on the platform. Instead, in this case, they start looking for the accommodation that they like in Google Vacation Rental, and then they are redirected to their Lodgify website. So this also puts the accent on the importance of having a bookable website, which is something that you can easily achieve in Lodgify in a matter of minutes after starting your subscription to Lodgify. But let's talk a little bit about the benefits of using the integration to Google Vacation Rental. Why should you want to start the integration? What added value will it bring to your business? First of all, it will increase your visibility because being Google Vacation Rental a meta search engine and a service provided by Google, Google will make it visible above any other organic results in Google itself. So if you make a search like vacation rentals in Barcelona, all the featured accommodations in Google Vacation Rentals will show on top of any other website or any other online travel agency that Google would show in their results. So you would always have preference over you, but in general, all the most relevant results will always have preference over any other result and any other website that would normally show in the results for Google. Get direct bookings. You know, if you have your properties on Airbnb, Booking.com, VRBO, pretty much any online travel agencies out there, you normally have to pay the commissions, right? So not always what the guest pays is what you get. Instead, in this case, because the booking is actually finalized on your website, it's considered like a direct booking. It's a booking that you receive through the website. The difference is that the process starts outside of the website, but it ends on your website. And when the booking enters your Lodgify account, it's considered 100% a direct booking. So there's no fee to pay or no commissions to pay for that booking that you have received. On these regards, maybe it's worth mentioning that because the bookings are finalized on the website, it would also be a good idea to make your prices on the direct website a bit lower than the prices on the OTAs. If you're using our channel manager, you can easily achieve that by configuring a positive markup, so to make the prices a bit higher on the connected OTAs, so that the guest clearly sees the difference and it's more encouraged to book on your website rather than booking on any of the OTAs that you have connected. Through Google Vacation Rental, you can strengthen your brand. What does it mean? That because the booking happens on the website, it means that the guest at some point will be able to see your website. They will be able to see your logo. They will be able to see any information that you have added about your company, your business. This will build your brand. This will build engagement with the guests, credibility. So it's an opportunity for you to make your brand stand out, something that can be a bit difficult when you're listing your property on platforms like the OTAs that I have been mentioning so far, so Airbnb and Booking.com, where you don't really, as a guest, you just get a list of results, but you don't really get to know anything about the brand and anything about the company. Instead, in this case, because everything happens on the website, it's really an opportunity for you to make your brand stand out. And then finally, good news is also that there's no need to create any account in Google My Business. No, you just need to have a Lodgify account, and then that is it. You can literally start the integration from your Lodgify account without the need of having to activate any external account in Google. So at this point, I will quickly pass the mic to my colleague Alberto. He will give us some insights on the application of SEO to Google Vacation Rental, and then we will be back with the connection process.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Adriana. Thank you, everyone, for attending this interesting webinar. So as Adri said, my name is Alberto. I'm the SEO and content manager here at Lodgify. So let's say my expertise is mostly on SEO, but since in both cases we're working with Google, I thought it would be interesting to explain a bit what the difference between SEO and GVR is and how you can rank on one versus the other. I will not get into too many details about SEO. We are planning to do a specific webinar for this, only about SEO, but I think it's interesting to highlight the differences between the two of them. So before we begin, if you can jump to the next slide, please, Adri. Whenever I do a presentation or I talk about SEO, I always like to start with this picture because I think it really reflects what the life of an SEO is. It's basically us on our knees praying to Google that they don't make a lot of changes, because every time Google does any change on their algorithm, it's chaos. At least for a couple of weeks, there's a lot of fluctuation in the results pages, results, some websites going up, others going down. It's a bit chaotic. To give you an idea, Google, it's not really proven, because Google is kind of like a black box. They don't always say everything that they do, but there's estimates of around 600 to 700 little tweaks in the Google algorithm every year. It's true that in the end, there are like 3, 4, maybe 5 big algorithm updates every year. But apart from those, like I mentioned, there are hundreds of little tweaks to the algorithm every year. Why do I say this? Because in the end, Google is an always changing product. So it's really important to stay up to date with everything that is happening regarding. That can be applied for regular SEO, but as we will see with GVR, GVR is also a new tool, and that can also be applied to GVR. It was released not so long ago. There's a lot of things that are still changing, and there are some more things that will change in the future. So if we go to the next slide, let's begin with some of the main differences. And before that, let's talk about how does SEO works. So there is not, like I said before as well, there is not like a magic formula that if you apply that, you're going to automatically rank #1 on Google. Again, I'm not talking on GVR, Google Vacation Rentals. I'm talking about the regular organic results. So when you search for, let's say, any type of website, the results that you get on Google. There is not like I said, like a magic formula. In the end, what it does, it's a combination of 3 main elements that at the same time include hundreds of different signals that in the end will help you rank higher or not. Let's start with the beginning. At the beginning with the on-page SEO. This is the most known type of SEO for everyone. And basically it refers to all the content that you create on your own website that is targeting a specific group of keywords that is going to help you rank for Google. Let's say you have a blog post on your site or a page on your site about best beaches in Florida, for example, and you want to rank with that page on Google so more people can get to see your website, and eventually through that content they can know your company and book your vacation rental. So in order to rank for this keyword, let's say best beaches in Florida, you would need to create a landing page with a lot of content, images, links, etc., optimized specifically for that group of keywords. That would be on-page SEO. Basically everything that we do content-wise in order to rank and position our website or a specific page for a specific group of keywords that people are searching online. That's the first one, and I would say maybe even the easiest one, especially nowadays with technology and ChatGPT. It's easier than ever to create content. Obviously, high-quality content requires time and effort, but in this case, it's one of the easiest one, at least, to influence from our side. The second one is off-page SEO. And in this case, it's all those initiatives that we do outside of our website. that help grow the authority for our site. Basically, this means getting other websites to link to your page, getting external reviews, things like that. So basically, like I said at the beginning, when we talk about SEO, it's all about sending signals to Google. So if a lot of websites in Florida are linking to your landing page about best beaches in Florida, this is telling Google that, okay, maybe next time that somebody searches for that, I should show your website, because in the end, a lot of people are linking to it. So this is taking as a good signal and will eventually help you rank higher. And lastly, we have technical SEO, which again is something that you do on your website, but it's not related to content, but different variety of factors, which could be, for example, how fast does your website loads, or how user-friendly your website is, from the size of your font to the color of your font. How well does your website look on mobile? Do you have security protocols on your website? All of these little things that in the end add up to make sure that you have a good, powerful website. So in summary, traditional SEO works with a combination of factors that include creating good content optimized for keywords, having external websites to link, external relevant websites to link to your content and your website to help you grow your authority, and as well having a good website that has everything in terms of technical elements properly set up, from indexing, UX, page speed, mobile friendliness, etc. Once we master all of those elements, and we give it time, because we always say that SEO takes a lot of time, eventually if somebody searches for best beaches in Florida, we might be able to rank on the top results for that query. Again, this is a quick summary. Obviously, there are way more elements involving SEO, but I wanted to clarify this because this is the way that you can rank with your website on Google. But as we will see now in the next slide, is completely different to how you can rank high on GVR, Google Vacation Rentals. In this case, it works with different criteria, that it's not so much related to content, but attributes that your website has. And before I really get into the details of this, something that I also want to highlight, like I said at the beginning, GVR, Google Vacation Rentals, is a fairly new product, and it's a black box. So it's not easy to pinpoint, let's say, a few things that if you do this or that, you're going to rank higher on the meta search from GVR. To give you another example, we know this is something similar to what happens with the different listing platforms or OTAs like Airbnb and Booking.com, that after many, many years of improving and tweaking their algorithms, we can get to know some of the signals that trigger that you rank higher or not. For example, in some of these OTAs, if you get a lot of visits on your profile but no one converts, that's going to eventually penalize you, because well, basically what it's telling to these OTAs is like, yes, we're showing this listing to many people are landing here, but no one is converting, so maybe next time we should not list them that high. These are some of the ranking elements that we know that can be happening in some OTAs. We don't have this information for Google yet, because they don't say that, and is a really new, well, not really OTA, I would say booking platform. Just as a side note, we are planning on doing a series of webinars alongside, hopefully, with all of the OTAs, one with Airbnb, one with Verbo, one with Booking.com, explaining how, as much as we can, because they also don't like to explain these things, but as much as we can, how the algorithm works, so you can improve your listings on all of these platforms. But now going back to the topic that we have at hand, GVR, how does the ranking work? So what we know is that Google looks at all of these elements in order to decide how to rank one or another listing. Before we get into the bullet points, you can see on the right, I type in myself vacation rentals in Florida, and as you can see, there are almost 15,000 results. That's a lot. So Google does not expect that you type in these and automatically select the first result. As you see below, there's a big list of filters, from price, property type, guest rating, rooms, amenities, etc. You will also obviously select the check-in or check-out dates. That will also limit the availability of rentals based on who has occupancy for those dates, and the same applies to the number of guests. So based on that, Google is really taking into account all of these filters in order to show one result or another. As they literally said on their website, you can see the other screenshot below, by default, results are sorted by relevance. Dozens of factors are considering, including your search terms, vacation rental location, price, guest rating, guest reviews, etc. So going back to the list that we have, what does price accuracy mean, and what is this 2% variation? So this means that, let's say, if somebody searches for anything that triggers your listing to show up on Google Vacation Rentals, as Adri mentioned before, you're going to see a price. When someone clicks on book or clicks on the price, they will go to your website. So what Google expects is that the price that it was shown on GVR and the price that you show on your website is the same, or at least there's no more than a 2% variation. It's important to note that this is our responsibility, let's say at Lodgify, to make sure that the prices are properly mapped and sent to Google. We keep an eye on these every day. We have an excellent score at the moment for pricing accuracy, and if at some point we see a little drop, we act immediately to make sure the price accuracy is always on top. So basically, this is nothing that you can influence from your side, but I think it's relevant for you to know that price accuracy is important. It's one of the most important algorithm ranking factors. The second one is property type. And all of the next ones that I'm going to say are really based as well on the filters that I just mentioned. So property type, if we do a search on GVR and we click on the filter, you'll see there's like bed and breakfast, cabins, cottages, glampings. There are different type of properties. So depending on one property or another, your property might show up or not. The same goes for location. You know, when you set up a listing on your website, sorry, an address, there's a latitude, there's an address basically. So what we need to make sure is that that address that we're sending to Google is at least within 500 meters range of the actual location. Again, this is also on us, but this is also important because depending on if I search for vacation rentals in Florida or vacation rentals in Orlando or vacation rentals in Tampa, that's going to make, you know, the one result show or another. Occupancy, basically, if someone selects a check-in, check-out date, and it's not available, you're not going to be shown. But it's important to have availability on your calendars if you want to show up. I mean, this is a pretty obvious one, but just to clarify that. Also, guest ratings. The more reviews and the more you can show, the better it's going to be for your listing, as with any other OTAs, as well as for your website. And then it comes to of the most important ones, which are high quality images. At the moment, one of the requirements for images, and we will talk about it, is having 8 images, but it's also important that those images have high quality. And this is something that might be one of the only things that are in common in GVR and Google. If you really want a good website, you need to have high quality, high resolution images, so it's a good user experience. And lastly, attributes. Again, this is a very technical thing that I will show in the next slide, and it's also kind of unique compared to the way that Google works with SEO. So if you can go, please, Adri, to the next slide. This is a huge list of attributes. You don't need to read them all. I just mentioned some of them. But basically, the same way that I mentioned that SEO works with signals, let's say how many people you have linking to your site, how fast is your website, how mobile friendly it is. Those are different signals that Google takes into account to rank you organically. In this case, attributes are more technical elements that you set up on your Lodgify website that are sent to Google, in this case, by your PMS, which is Lodgify. So there are some mandatory fields that you need to complete, which, like I said, some of them are going to be very obvious, like capacity and your website. Otherwise, it will never be shown. There are some that are optional but highly recommended, like having a minimum stay, having enhanced cleaning practices, the number of bedrooms, the number of bathrooms, the number of beds, the ratings, different things like that. And there are a lot of optional, the ones that you can see on the right. The list goes on, it's longer than just a screenshot on the right, but this is an example. For example, if you have a balcony, if you're offering an airport shuttle, if you're child friendly, if you have a bathtub, for example. All of these are the amenities that we mentioned before, and the more attributes that you have on your website, the more chances are that if somebody searches for, bed and breakfast with a hot tub, your property might show up on the top of the results. So this is a quick summary of some of the attributes, things that can influence your website to be shown or not. In the end, it also comes down to how accurate is your website based on the search that the user did. Like I said, there are 15,000 vacation rentals in Florida showing up when you search for that on GVR. And the best way is making sure that you have as many attributes as possible. So when someone, makes a more accurate search, your result can show up. And lastly, just if we go to the last slide, we also have a guide that I will add to the chat later, where we explain a bit more how GVR works. We also talk about the price accuracy, the benefits of being on GVR. And my final note is the same that I said at the beginning. Google is an always changing platform. And yeah, just we need to stay on top of everything. We from Lodgify obviously are always on top. We will make any changes as necessary to make sure that we satisfy the algorithm to reward your websites. In your case, like I said, if you really want to rank high on Google, make sure that you have as many attributes as possible. You have high quality images, and we will take care of the rest. And if there are any more questions, I'll be happy to take them in the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Alberto. Thanks a lot for this. All right, so based also following what Alberto just said, there are clearly some requirements that will optional and mandatory that will help you rank better in Google. But let's start from the beginning. What are the requirements that you have to meet in order to be able to even start the integration to Google Vacation Rental from Lodgify? Now, as Alberto already said a couple of times, this is a fairly new tool. Just imagine that originally Google Vacation Rental was open just to OTAs, so online travel agencies, and property managers with more than 5,000 listing. Now it recently opened their doors to single vacation rental owners and smaller property managers. So these requirements are constantly and frequently changing. We are on top of this. We try to stay on top of this as much as we can, but the requirement that I'm about to show you are the ones that are applying at the moment, right now. This doesn't mean that they cannot change in the future. They probably will. But now, in order to be able to start the integration to Google, what are the requirements that you have to meet, or that your rentals must meet in Lodgify in order to be considered eligible for the integration? First of all, as Alberto already mentioned, your rental must have pictures. In particular, it must have at least 8 pictures in Lodgify, and each picture must come with a description. So in this recording, you can see it's just a refresher on how to upload pictures in Lodgify. You just go to the rental, you enter the photo section of your rental, you upload all the pictures that you have. It's important to have high quality pictures as well, and be sure to add a caption to each one of them. It is also important to, if you're using multiple languages on your rental, be sure to add the caption in all languages, so that Lodgify can send an accurate feed to Google for all the languages available on the website. So this would be the first requirement. The rental type. You must choose a rental type from this list. So again, in your Lodgify account, enter the rental, go to the overview section, and you have a drop-down with all the rental types available. Be sure to select one of the ones that Google considers valid. The reason behind this is that anything that falls outside of these categories is not considered vacation rental. It could be considered hotel. In that case, you would have to use a different type of service, which is Google Hotel and not Google Vacation Rental. So that's why it's important to choose the rental type from this list. The next requirement, clearly, because the booking will be completed on your website in Lodgify must be published, and it should have a logo or a favicon. I don't know if you know what a favicon is that little icon that displays whenever you open a tab in any browser, for example, the small icon that displays next to the name of the page. That will be the favicon. I don't think that logo or favicon are now actually a mandatory requirement. If you don't have one, normally Google will assign you a pre-created one. But as we mentioned branding before, it's just really recommended to have your own logo and your own favicon, so that whenever your listing or your accommodation displays in Google Vacation Rental, your logo, your actual logo, the logo of your brand shows instead of the one that Google just assigns for you, which is a default logo that they would assign to any website. All right, and in this video, I'm just showing you how to upload the favicon and the logo on the website. In case you don't remember or you've never done it, this is how you would do it from the website builder in your account. Next requirement is for the name and the description of your rental to be different. In the overview section, again, of the rental, you can add the name. That's going to be the name displaying in Google Vacation Rental. And once the traveler or the potential guest clicks on View Details in Google Vacation Rental, they would be able to see the description as well. Google wants these two items to be different, so be sure to add that description that it's not the same as the name of the rental. And then finally, the number of beds that your accommodation offers must be higher than 0. Again, you can change this setting inside the overview section of your rental in Lodgify. Just click on Edit Sleeping Arrangements and set up the number and types of bed your accommodation comes with. There are a few restrictions. I've already seen a few questions about these in the chat, so I'll try to cover those questions as much as I can. Currently, the integration to Google Vacation Rental is not available to all plans. Lodgify has 3 subscription plans at the moment: the Starter, the Professional, and the Ultimate plan. Currently, the integration is only available for Professional and Ultimate, which makes sense because if you start getting a lot of bookings through your Lodgify website, if you're on a starter plan, you would be charged with the booking fees. Instead, if you activate a Professional or Ultimate subscription and hopefully you start getting a lot of direct bookings through the integration, you won't be charged those fees. So at the moment, if you're using or if you subscribe to the starter plan, you won't be able to use the Google Vacation Rental integration. Again, it is only possible to use the Google Vacation Rental integration if you're using your Lodgify website. We know that some of our customers are using or have built their website externally. If that is the case, it is currently not possible to use the integration just because we wouldn't be able to link your external website to your Lodgify account. That's the only reason why. But for any of these feedback, feel free to share your suggestions in our roadmap. It's roadmap.lodgify.com. So if you have any feedback on this as well, make sure to use that portal to submit your ideas. And finally, if you have more than one website within one Lodgify account, it is currently not possible to use Google Vacation Rental either. So only if you have one website per account. You can have multiple accounts and multiple websites, but not multiple websites inside the same account. So currently, these are the only restrictions for Lodgify customer when it comes to using the integration to Google Vacation Rental. Now, how do we connect? How do we start the integration? The good news is that it's completely, you are completely autonomous on this. You don't need us. You can self-map your rental to Google Vacation Rental by yourself. Let's take a quick look at the steps, and then we will look into each step individually in a second. So you first need to make sure to meet all of Google requirements, the ones that I've just mentioned, so the number of pictures, the rental types, etc. Start the integration from your Lodgify account. We will see how in a second. And then your rental or rentals will have to go under a verification process run by Google. When Google considers the listing eligible and ready to be listed, you will see the status in Lodgify that your rental has been listed on Google. Now let's take a look at all these steps and the process from your Lodgify account, how to start it. First of all, you must enter the Channel Manager section of your Lodgify account. You see now that under Search Engines, there's an area called Search Engines. You have to click on List Rentals for Google. You click here, you will be given the list of all the rentals you have created in your Lodgify account, only the ones that have been 100% completed and assigned to a website in your Lodgify account, and then you want to click on List. Once you click on List, if there's any missing requirement, you will be there's going to be like some sort of warning displaying on the account, like in this example. Any requirement that displays at this step it's a mandatory requirement. That means that you must meet this requirement in order to be able to move forward with the integration. Now, in this case, for example, this rental is probably using a rental type that Google doesn't consider valid for the integration. So you just simply click on the quick link that you have here. This will redirect you to the exact section of your Lodgify account where you can adjust that setting. Once you have adjusted all the settings, you simply click on refresh so that the warnings disappear, and at that point you will be able to click on list rental. Next would be to wait for Google to verify the rental. At this point, this is how it will look like in your account. As you can see from the warning here, Google takes or may take up to 4 weeks before verifying your rental. This is because probably they need to verify a lot of listings and new rentals on a daily basis. There is really no means for Lodgify to make this process faster. It's just up to 4 weeks. Sometimes it takes less, but usually no more than 4 weeks. This is a timeline that is defined by Google, and unfortunately there is no way for us to speed up the process. So whenever you are added to the feed, you may be seeing this status in your Lodgify account for up to 4 weeks. And then finally, once Google has validated your rental, you will see it as listed in like the status in Lodgify will be listed, as you can see here. Plus, you will be able to actually be taken to your to your rental in Google Vacation Rental by clicking on this button inside your Lodgify account. So this button literally takes you to the public page, the profile page of your rental in Google Vacation Rental. All right, so this is how you can start and actually finalize the integration process. As you can see, at any stage of the process, you know exactly what is happening. In regards to this, I want to just do a quick recap on the connection status, the statuses that you will be seeing inside your account so that you understand better what each status means. Not listed clearly means that you haven't started the integration for one rental or more than one rental, or that you did, but then you decided to unlist it. So that's when you will see not listed inside your Lodgify account. Waiting for Google will show during that time frame in which Google is running their verification to validate the listing and finally list it on Google Vacation Rental. As I said previously, this process can take up to 4 weeks. Listed means that congratulations, your listing was approved by Google, it was verified, and it's now visible and bookable through Google Vacation Rental. And then missing requirements. Missing requirements could be critical or recommended. The critical missing requirements will normally only show at the beginning of the integration process, like the example I showed you before. These are those requirements that must be met in order for the integration to even be possible. One of them, for example, will be the pictures. You must have 8, or the rental type, as in the example we were looking at before, or your website is not published. Instead, recommended are not necessarily mandatory requirements. So you would still be able to complete the integration even though these requirements are missing, but they are highly recommended just because then when Google will run the new verification, they may come back to us with errors. For example, just to give you an example, originally when we launched the integration, there was a requirement for the capacity. Your rental must not fit more than 15 guests. Now that is no longer a mandatory requirement, but it's recommended for your rental not to have a capacity that goes above 15, because we have seen some cases where Google has returned that missing requirement as an error. This, again, depends on Google, their verification. They are checking your website and your rental very closely, so sometimes they just become suspicious. They think that your rental maybe is not really a vacation rental, but it could be categorized under hotel rather than vacation rental. So it's just recommended. It's not mandatory or necessary for the integration to work, but it's highly recommended. So very quickly, I want to go over what is synced. So what Lodgify is sending to Google through the feed. In terms of prices, nightly prices and prices per weekday, weekly and monthly prices, minimum stays and minimum stays per weekday. As Alberto mentioned, this is actually a very important setting when it comes to the ranking in Google. Nightly overrides, so anything that you change in terms of pricing and minimum stay through your Lodgify calendar. The currency, any occupancy fee that you have, short stay fees, taxes, promotions, and add-ons. So for example, if you have a promotions applying to a specific date, the price in Google Vacation Rental will also respect the promotion and will show the discount that you've configured in Lodgify. In terms of availability, pretty much everything, check-in and check-out days, any block, be it a closed period, an ICAL period, a manual booking, a direct booking, will show as unavailable on Google Vacation Rental. Bookability, so whether you're using instant booking or booking request, that will also be visible or will be taken into account in Google Vacation Rental. The advance notice and booking window, so your calendar rules. If you've set up any preparation time in Lodgify, so the blocks before and after each booking, those will also be taken into account in the availability calendar in booking.com, in Google Vacation Rental. And if you're using units, so the Lodgify app called Bookable Units, when you can have multiple units of the same rental, that the availability of those multiple units will also be considered by Google. And finally, in terms of content, we will send to Google the rental name, the description, the rental type clearly, because it's also a mandatory requirement, the number of guests, the sleeping arrangements, rooms, amenities, photos, location, and contact details of your rental. Okay, and with that, it's time for question and answer. I have seen a lot of movement in the chat section. Yes, you have a lot of questions, I understand. Maybe we can have a look. I don't know if Alberto or Dani, you want to help me out with this, if you have spotted any interesting questions.
I mean, there are a lot of interesting questions for sure. Yeah. We can start with in order, and then I can highlight them on the screen, and you guys can take care of them if they're more technically related, if that's okay. All right, so we can start with this one. Would be great to be able to see GVR statistics analytics. Google has this data made available to Lodgify, but it's not passed on to host, unfortunately. Is there any way to allow host access to Google Partner Dashboard to see these analytics for the property? Maybe, Danny, if you want to take care of this one. Wait, I think you're
okay. Sorry. Okay, can you repeat the question, Alberto? I was answering.
Yeah. I think you can see it on the screen, but I will repeat it again.
Okay.
It would be great to be able to see GVR statistics and analytics. Google has this data made available to Lodgify, but it's not passed on to host. Is there any way to access the Google Partner Dashboard to see these analytics?
For the moment, this is not currently available because the way the data is exported to us is in a total, so we cannot share it because it will share sensitive data to all our customers. However, this is already on the scope of the development team and the product team that is in charge of this section, of this feature. Please keep in mind, this is a new integration. Some of the features are really new and just released, so we need to develop and in order to be able to access to it. This is not for the short term, unfortunately, because they are already with priority in other features, but they already have it on their scope, and it will. And they are studying how this can be integrated for future releases. I see that we have more technical questions. I'm not sure if you want me to take them.
Yeah. Just pick whatever you want, and I will highlight it on the screen.
Okay, so let's go into the order. My home sleep 24 Google Vacation Rentals, only allow homes. Okay, that one. The requirement for more than 15 guests is already not a hard requirement from Google. So you can already list it if you have more than 15 guests. So you can already list it with this. Sometimes Google mark this as an impediment, but it's only because remember that Google Vacation Rentals is a different tool that hotel vacations. So this is the reason why they have this rule in the first place. They already relaxed this, and you can list it. But if you have in any chance that you try to list in this and show this error, you can communicate with the support team, and we will open a case directly with Google to allow your listing to be passed. So sometimes Google still detect this as a hard impediment, but it's already been removed. So normally you should be able to list it without any issues. Okay, next. Is there a way I can connect my website to Google listing rather than Lodgify.com site? If you're one thing what we mentioned that about your website was not referring about the domains, but rather if the website is created through our website builder. I want to make this distinction. You can use your own domains, meaning that if your domain is not exactly the one that it ends on Lodgify.com, it's the one that you created, but the website is still created through our website builder, your listing can be added on Google Vacation Rental. This impediment is only for when you create a website externally to Lodgify. For those external websites, unfortunately, we still cannot connect. This is still a limitation coming from Google that developers are also in discussion with Google to see if there is a way of bypassing this. But for the moment, this is still a limitation. But if your website is hosted with us and you just have a custom domain, there should be no problem. Okay, if we can move to the next one. I'm not able to get Google's data because you can only use a page from your own website and landing page, not the Lodgify one. Is there any way to change this or make the URL to the Lodgify booking page match better with my website? I believe there is a confusion here regarding on the data being transmitted by Google, that the one that I mentioned it before that for the moment is not available, with the Google app that you can use on your website. For this, we have already a knowledge-based article explaining how you can track and your analytics of your website. I'm happy to share this on the chat as soon as I can. If it is related to the Google Vacation data, that is still not available. But if it is just tracking your data on your Lodgify website, this is something that we can do. And we have already articles explaining how you can set up your Google Analytics. I will pass it. I will share the article in a minute. Or if
Actually, Danny, if you allow me to jump in, I think the comment was more related to Google Ads. And in this case, this feature of Google Ads is not available right now for Google Vacation Rentals. Yeah, it is available for some hotels, like Google Hotels. As you know, before Google Vacation Rentals, there was Google Hotels, which is pretty similar, but focused only on hotels. And in this case, they offer this sponsor badge, and it works like regular Google Ads PPC marketing. So it's based on bid and ad quality, but this feature is not available at the moment on GVR. They might implement it in the future. In one of the meetings that we had with Google, they mentioned that at some point they might implement it, but right now it's only available for hotels, so does not apply for vacation rentals, basically.
Perfect. Okay, thanks for the clarification, Alberto. If that is the case, as you mentioned, then it's not unfortunately available, but it will be on the discussion for the future.
Yeah, and also, sorry, Danny, again, just to clarify, these requirements and like these limitations, for example, is not only for Lodgify, it's for everyone that wants to connect to Google Vacation Rentals. So just to, like, meaning if you go on your own, well, you're not going to be able to connect because they only work with special providers, suppliers of PMSs, but everyone is under the same restrictions in this regard. So unfortunately, until they change that, there's nothing we can do about it.
Remember that most of these limitations are implemented by Google, and it's, as Alberto said, Lodgify and any other supplier have to accommodate to those limitations, have several discussions, see how we can bypass them. But sometimes, if the limitation is a hard limitation from Google, unfortunately, until they do some change on the end, we cannot implement those. But we promise that we always be on our best in discussion with Google and see how we can implement and we can add the features that they have already available. Okay, so the next, we are connected to GVR, but when you search our area, we don't appear with the price like other properties, only a letter dot. Why is this? This one is because of the time. remember that for all the sections to be popular on Google, this doesn't happen instantly. It takes about 4 weeks to appear, sometimes even more. So at the beginning, you will only see availability. This is normal. The price will come later. Normally, it starts showing after 2 or 3 weeks. But if you notice that you already have 4 or 5 weeks and this is still not show, you can always create a case with our support team from Lodgify, and we will check what is going on, if there is a situation that is preventing this section to appear, and we will contact Google on your behalf in order to solve this. But as I mentioned, this normally is a matter of time. 90% of the time is when 4 or 5 weeks already passed, all the sections should populate, including the pricing one. But this is the last one that normally populates.
Actually, I'm gonna take this one, Danny, if you allow me. This is really unrelated to email marketing, sorry, to GVR, but since I'm in the marketing team, it's really effective. Email marketing, I'm not gonna get into details now, but just to mention, we have an online marketing guide for free available at Lodgify under our guide section. So you can just go there. I might also paste the link in the chat in after I finish responding. And yes, it's the most important thing is also how to get your guests' emails. There are a lot of different tools, like using marketing Wi-Fi is a great tool for that. But that's a topic for a different webinar. But definitely, I would say it's very effective, especially to target repeating guests, which in the end are the ones that are going to be booking directly with your website afterwards. So very effective.
Okay, the next one, Alberto, I think this is also something that you can help us, because they ask if they lower our price temporarily to increase conversion rates and rank higher.
Yeah, this is one that we cannot really know, because like I said, we don't know if Google is rewarding cheaper, let's say, vacation rentals or not. As again, this is part of their black box. The price, I guess this question was asked during the price accuracy discussion. And again, it's not so much that you are cheaper, but if your prices match the prices on your website, and eventually if someone uses like the filter to have a more expensive price and you're cheaper, you're not going to show either. So it comes down to how accurate your prices is. Again, if you lower your prices, you get a higher chance to increase conversion rates. This is something that maybe, like we said, on other OTAs that we know for sure that they do reward, how many conversions you get on your listing. That could be useful, but at the moment we have no information whatsoever that this is the case in Google.
Okay, the next question we have is, what about multi-properties? Multi-properties are allowed to be listed. Oh, sorry. No worries. Yes, multi-properties are able to be listed on GVR. If you're referring to all our legacy feature with room types, this is also available for being listed to the GVR. So there should be no problem with this. What is the definition of high quality photo? What size and dimension? For this question, I already shared on the chat the link of our knowledge-based article that has an explanation on what is the best quality photo. So for our website, that also should be translated to the GVR. And if you feel free to check it, it has for the different aspect, but the important one in this is the rental pictures. And on that article, it explained the dimensions and the quality that you should have for your photos. GVR seems to be randomly selecting photos for their scrolling slideshow. It seems to be ignoring the cover designation of the Lodgify photos. Is there any way to force cover photo for the GVR listing? As Roba mentioned here, indeed, Google is not respecting the same order that you have on your Lodgify account. Unfortunately, there's nothing that we can do at the moment because this is decided by the Google algorithm. And just to let you know, this is not even something that Google can do something about it. When we commented this, because this was noticed before by other customers, and we raised a case regarding this, and they informed us that the order of the photos is decided by their algorithm and they cannot be changed. Maybe in the future they will decide, they will have more rules about how the algorithm works that allows us to work with it and make sure that the same order that you have on your account is the one that is being passed. But for the moment, this is a limitation coming from Google, from Google algorithm, that they decide which order of your photos on your slideshow is being shown.
Dan, if you want, I can take the questions.
Yeah. Yes,
All right, so next question I see is by Jesse. How do I see what subscription I have with Lodgify? You simply log into your Lodgify account, right-hand menu, click on billing. You would be able to see the plan you subscribe to, either starter, professional, or ultimate, and also the option to upgrade. Instead, in case you're interested in using Google Vacation Rental and you're on a starter plan, you can easily upgrade to professional ultimate from here. So Dave asked, is it possible to do multiple listings in one website? Yes, it is. When you subscribe to Lodgify, you subscribe to for a certain number of rentals. You will have to assign your rentals to one Lodgify website. It's going to be one Lodgify website, but with multiple rentals on it. So it is definitely possible to have a multi-property website. That depends on the number of rentals you subscribed to. So in that case, as long as you're using your Lodgify website, you will be able to use the integration to Google Vacation Rental. What do you mean, Raviv asks, what do you mean by external website? Can it be an external domain built and hosted by Lodgify? So by external website, we are referring to any website that is not built through our website builder. When you log into your Lodgify account, you will see in your menu a website builder. If you build and use the website that you have built through Lodgify, in that case, you can use the integration to Google Vacation Rental. But we know that some of our customers built their website externally in other platforms, and then they link it to Lodgify. They link their external website to Lodgify using our external widgets. Those websites currently cannot be integrated with Google Vacation Rental. But as long as your website, as long as you're using your Lodgify website, then you can definitely use the integration. As Dani mentioned in one of the previous questions, this doesn't really have to do with the domain. If you're using an external domain and linking it to your Lodgify website, that is fine, as long as you're using a Lodgify website. The domain can be an external one and linked to a Lodgify website. That doesn't really matter from the integration perspective, but you must be using your Lodgify website in order to be able to use the integration. I have updated a missing item, however, it still shows as missing. Does it update and resubmit to Google? Yes, I think that Lodgify sends a new feed every 24 hours to Google. If more than 24 hours have passed and you have clicked on the refresh button inside your Lodgify account, you can, as Dani said already, you can always open a case with us. Some cases just need to be checked more closely by our support team in case we have to open a case with Google as well. So if you're still seeing that missing requirement in your account, just send us a message, send a message to our support team, and we will look into it. Can I get a copy of this presentation, please? Yes, of course. We will be sending the recording in the upcoming days. So whoever registered to the webinar will receive an email shortly after, so before the week ends, with the recording of the session. How frequently does Lodgify sends info to GVR, and how quickly should changes be reflected? I updated the rental name a couple weeks ago, and the change isn't reflected in GVR yet. As Dani said, Lodgify sends a new feed every 24 hours, but for Google to verify the updated info, it could take up to 4 weeks. So again, if more than 4 weeks have passed and you still don't see the change reflected in GVR, just open a case with us. We will probably need to look into it with Google directly. But yes, 2 weeks is still normal. 4 weeks is also normal. More than 4 weeks, maybe we can double check with Google on your behalf. How hard is it to change my external website to a Lodgify website? It's not hard. Your Lodgify website, it's built independently for your external website, and it's really easy to build. There's a series of steps that you have to follow, but normally it takes really no more than 30 minutes. Then, of course, if you want to customize it more and personalize it more, you have also that option. But to have a website that it's ready to be published and go live, it really takes 30 minutes. Majority of the info, it's taken from your rental setup and automatically translated onto the website. So it's not I wouldn't say that it's difficult, but it's independent from the website that you have externally. They are not linked in any way.
Adri, can I just add something to this?
Sure.
Actually, if we're going back to the SEO GVR discussion that we had before, if you really want to rank well with your website organically, you really need to put effort into it. That means creating a lot of content, adding content to your homepage, creating secondary pages, landing pages that people can use to find your website. So that requires a lot of effort. But in this case, if you are already an external website with the one you're already ranking, and you just want to create a Lodgify website for GVR, in this case, obviously you would not be ranking on Google easily for, let's say, from an SEO point of view. But since the way that GVR works is mostly with those attributes, if you have those attributes set up, it would not take you that much effort actually to rank on GVR. So, you have to consider the perks of two things. In that case, like I said, for GVR, it would be probably easier to get up there, or at least in the rankings. For SEO, it would obviously take more time. Just to add that little side note.
Thank you, Alberto. Maybe how can I see the traffic to my site or clicks on GVR for my website? I don't know if any of you guys wants to answer this question.
Sure. What they are asking directly is what we mentioned before about the data, transmit of the data and analytics from GVR. For the moment, that information is not available. This is something that is already on discussion with the development team, with the product team, to be available in the future. But for this moment, is unfortunately not available. This is not passing through the normal connection, so this does require some involvement and discussion with the Google team in order for us to be able to have this. But it is already under scope. It's already something that they wanted to implement, but this requires some. Remember that this is a new tool, and as such, every new feature or everything that they're integrated requires some development. And the idea of this is that you have being able to list it as soon as possible. This is one of those tools that being first there is the best. So we make sure that you'll be able to be able to list in all of your rentals and all of that. But some of the features that doesn't have that priority were left for later development. So that's one of the reasons why analytics is not there, but it will come over time.
Thanks, Dani. Next two questions, I think we kind of already answered them previously, but I'll just recap again. How often is info sent to Google? We send it every 24 hours, but for Google to verify it, it could take up to 4 weeks. And then, is there a way to arrange pictures in rentals? It seems that the functionality is poor considering the importance of pictures. As Dani said before, this is based on the algorithm in Google. We send the pictures to Google in the order you have them in Lodgify. However, the way they display then in Google Vacation Rental really depends on Google and on their algorithms. We already have opened a few cases with Google about this, and the reply we got was always the same. So it doesn't really depend on the order of pictures in Lodgify, because we send it the way that you have them in Lodgify. But it's Google choosing based on their algorithms. I just now tried connecting my listing with 18 people capacity, but GVR is still asking me to edit my capacity because the maximum number of guests allowed should be no more than 15. As I said, this is not a mandatory requirement. However, in some cases, it will become for Google if Google starts suspecting that your rental maybe doesn't fall under the category of vacation rental, and the capacity obviously also has an impact on that. So if you want, again, feel free to open a case with us. But if it's Google asking you to change that setting, it's because probably they've already verified your listing and they consider this setting conflicting with what falls under the category of vacation rental. But again, feel free to open a case with our support team. We're more than happy to look into this for you. I'm using a plugin for reviews on Lodgify, but don't see my reviews on Google Vacation Rental. Yes, this is definitely something that it's in our roadmap. It is true and correct to say that reviews are not sent to Google Vacation Rental at the moment, but it's definitely something that we want to start working on as soon as possible. So again, feel free to use the portal for the feedback, to add your ideas. This would be a great one to share with our product team. Again, it's roadmap.lodgify.com. So click on the plus icon, submit your idea, and share your feedback with us. Do you have a general impression how much traffic GVR is sending Lodgify listings? I wouldn't. I mean, maybe Dani, you know more about this. I don't really have much info on that one.
This is one of those that. Sorry. We do have some of the numbers on how much of the traffic is being redirected, but this is something that is still not available for everyone. This is still discussing with the product. I know they already have these numbers. They're starting to study in order to see the impact that it is causing. We can check with them if we can share some of these numbers, but this is fairly new. So this is starting. This is not something that it has caused a big impact yet. But however, they informed me that they started noticing an increase direct bookings for all our customers already. So I don't have the exact number. I can consult this for to get back to with the customer that asked this, but I know that this is already making an impact. It's just this is starting, but over the time we will see a more and more grow on this.
Thank
you, Dani.
I think I can take the next one.
I think too.
So basically, one of the platforms that we integrate with is Stayfy, which is a Wi-Fi marketing tool that allows you to capture emails and other guest data to then do retargeting with email campaigns. I sent the link to the blog post about the integration to the chat a few minutes ago. So if you want to check it out, feel free to do it. And I also share an article with a few useful tips on how to improve your email marketing campaign, as it was one of the previous questions. So yeah, also if you want to stay up to date with more tips, you know, we have our blog posts and our guides. We publish a lot of content every week. So stay tuned for that. Make sure that you receive our newsletter as well. And then you will get the latest information, not only about the product, but also about the industry and some tips to help you with your business.
Thank you, Alberto. Maybe we can answer one last question, and then if there's anything that we left out, we can definitely follow up in the email notification we will be sending in the upcoming days. We have a question from Marianne. Does Lodgify have templates I can choose from to convert my external website? Yes, Lodgify has templates. These templates will not convert your external website, but they will basically create your Lodgify website in a matter of clicks. You just you choose the templates from the 4 templates that we have available, and then whatever you have already configured for your rental inside the account, which is probably the same information that we are exporting to your external website if you're using one of the external widgets, will just readapt to the new layout of your Lodgify website. So again, for any assistance you may need on creating your website with Lodgify, we have the support team available and happy to help you if you have any questions or need any type of assistance with creating websites in Lodgify. Maybe we can do one last one because it's very like generic question. How do I accept online payments on a Lodgify website? Lodgify comes with different payment methods that you can activate: credit card, PayPal, and manual payments. You simply have to go access the payment section of your Lodgify account. You'll find it by clicking on the left-hand menu and selecting settings at the bottom of the menu. Access payments, activate your preferred payment method. You would have to, if you want to use credit card payments specifically, you must have an account with one of the payment gateways we have an integration with. Again, it's a very wide, like it's a very big topic. So explaining how to activate and use it will take us a little bit of time. So again, feel free to send us a ticket, ask your questions if you want to have further information. Also, don't forget that we have the knowledge base available. It's publicly available, so you can always check it out. We have a lot of articles there that explain how to use the features, how to activate them, etc., etc. So,
just to add on top of that,
see.
Sorry. I share both articles regarding the website templates and the form of payments. There you will find a little bit more of an explanation, and at the bottom you will also find more articles that go deeper into each subject. But here you will see how you can use the templates to customize your website, add the color, font, and anything that you wanted to. And the ones on the form of payment, you will see the 3 types of form of payment that you can set up with Lodgify. And at the bottom, you will see each article explain each form of the payment. So in case you need more information, you have those articles, as Adrian mentioned, so you available. And if you have any further questions, our support team is always there to help you.
Just one last thing regarding Karin's question about, because I've seen in the chat there's a lot of questions about the reviews and why it's not showing. The reason why it's not showing is because reviews require a specific API connection. Basically, the way that you connect with Google and send information for reviews is a bit different than the rest. So it requires to develop a specific part of our API connection. And like Adriana said, it's in the roadmap to develop that part to make sure that we send all the information, including the reviews, to Google. But it's basically because of that. It's for a technicality. The way that the API connection works is different. It requires some other requirements. And that's why we're working on it. So we don't have an estimated date on whether we'll be ready, but it's, like Adri said, it's on a roadmap. So we hope to have this fixed as soon as possible.
Thank you, Alberto. I would say if we miss some questions, if we skip some of them, we will try and follow up to the remaining ones in the email notification that we will be sending in the upcoming days. So stay tuned, because we will send together with the follow-up also the recording of these sessions in case you couldn't stay here for the entire webinar. I would like to thank you all for joining us, for participating, for being super active in the chat section, for asking a lot of questions. We hope we were able to sort the majority, at least, of your doubts. And again, the support team at Lodgify is always available and happy to help you with Google Vacation Rental, but in general with any question you may have related to Lodgify. I would also like to thank Alberto and Nani for their participation, for helping me with the question, with the presentation, and I'll see you in the next webinar. Thanks, everybody, for participating. Have a great rest of the day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.